Welcome to our SFA webinar on how to grow your business online. My name is Sven and I'm joined here this morning by Una McCutcheon, Corporate Communications Manager at the IE Domain Registry. And in her 30-minute webinar this morning, Una will provide answers to the questions how you can improve your website. She will look at best practices in web design and what supports and funding are available. We're waiting for others to join. Just a bit of housekeeping. We have muted all your phones to ensure no noise interference, and we will email you with the recording of the webinar this afternoon. At the end of the webinar, you'll receive a short online survey so you can let us know how you think the webinar went. So without any further ado, I'll hand you over to Una. Una, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sven, and thank you for your kind introduction. I'm from IE Domain Registry, and that's the company that manages the .ie domain from Ireland. And as Sven mentioned, I'm going to talk to you about the importance of a website in these unprecedented times. I'll share some insights and practical advice too. During this time when businesses are compelled to close, it's an opportunity to take some time to look at your website. Our Digital Health Index research shows that the main blockages for SMEs when it comes to their website is time and skills. Now is a great opportunity to use downtime to look at what your website can do for your business. Before I start, I know there are both B2B and B2C companies attending this webinar, so I've aimed to provide relevant content and examples for both. So it's a digital world. Stats from various research organizations, including Forbes, show that over 80% of consumers will do online research before they engage with a service or shop online. There's an increasing trend as well to what's called omnichannel. That is shopping online from multiple devices and shopping in bricks and mortar shops. The consumer may opt for online one day and in-store the next day. It's all about what the consumer wants, when and how they want it. We know also that nearly half of all researchers online are millennials. They've never known a world without the internet, and this influences their expectations in terms of online. Interestingly, the oldest millennials are now 40 years of age, in the prime of their professional lives. So your website needs to speak to them in their terms. They will look not only at your website, but at those of your competitors too. So it's important to be in contention. People are looking for 24/7 convenience, and it's increasingly important in a world where flexible working means that people are searching at a time that suits them, whether that's in the evening or on the daily commute. And a mobile compatible is an absolute given. If your website doesn't work on mobile, it needs to be replaced immediately. The landscape of consumer behaviour is being affected by what's happening elsewhere. For example, government services and big utilities are increasingly pushing consumers online. For example, the Revenue's ROS service to do tax returns, the BHI Snap and Send for managing health claims, to just name but two. All of these create a new environment and increased expectation in relation to online right across the business spectrum. COVID-19, which we're all suffering from, has demonstrated that many, not all, but many companies quickly adapted to online remote working. We live in a technological age, and a company's website is an important business tool. And we've seen many examples of websites that are using them to keep their clients and customers informed during COVID. Your website is your own online space. It's really important to own that online space, and this is done by having a website. Social channels are important and can support by driving traffic to your website. A company-controlled website remains the single best place to host your original content. Done well, social media posts can help draw traffic back to your website or facilitate other encounters, whether that's face-to-face or virtual, with your business. Owning a website puts you in control. You won't be at the mercy of algorithms from companies like Facebook, Google, or LinkedIn. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Organic reach on Facebook, that is the percentage of a page's followers who see a post, has fallen from 100% when the platform launched in 2004 to as little as 1% today. This means that if you've worked hard to recruit 1,000 followers to your business page, as few as 10 people may see your next post today. In our work with SMEs, we find that many small Irish companies don't tell the story of their business. And this is important because people buy from people, and it's important to let your personality come to life online. Who owns the business? Tell your consumers. It's surprising how many companies don't have this information. Give some background history, why you set up, how long you're in business, and ideally have photos of the owner. Showcasing your company and team and the portfolio of your work is important. Don't hide your light under a bushel. Let potential clients know what projects you've worked on. Describe the project, the solutions you provided, and how this benefited your client. Don't assume that people know about your experience. You need to be specific. Put your effort into creating and sharing helpful, insightful information that will support prospective customers. Here's an example that I hope will illustrate the point I'm making. If you sell doors and windows, don't just push out promotional discounts and offers. You can use advertising for those messages. But instead, concentrate on the insights a customer needs to make more informed buying decisions. For example, how exactly do certain windows keep a home cool in summer? What security and insurance considerations should be borne in mind when choosing a front door? And what colours and styles are proving popular this year in different regions of the country? This type of approach helps customers. It builds trust and shows that you are an expert. If you're selling goods, it's vital to have excellent product images, descriptions, and very clear terms and conditions, for example, relating to delivery costs. Consumers want clarity and transparency. In the next section, I'll give you some ideas about quick fixes you can do today. Some of them you will be able to do yourself, and some may require your web developer or your hosting provider to help. However, they are all quick and easy. First and foremost, keep your customers in mind. What do they want from your website? You have a great opportunity to constantly ask your customers and clients and then respond. It's worth spending a moment looking at the stats on this slide. Being online increases awareness and understanding of a business, 72%. Being online also increases revenue, which stands to reason, because online is the first place people go to find information. In addition, being digitally savvy has the twin benefits of saving time and reducing costs. So I mentioned informing your customers, and here are a few examples of different companies that have notices on their websites at the moment. This is especially important during COVID-19. These notices provide detailed information on things like minimum order value, delivery dates, temporary closures of online, etc. And we know that it's a very fast evolving world at the moment. And the point here is that you need to be clear and specific and put the information prominently on your website. And once the crisis has passed, keep in mind the importance of this approach. We all have to adapt. If you have services that will be useful during this current time, let your customers know about that. So for example, here, shopping and services for the elderly. And consider the language on your website, particularly at the moment, and it's important to be supportive and empathetic. Some companies are taking a combination of online and offline as they're trying to get up to speed with using their websites more. It can be an option to use more traditional methods combined with online. An example of this is the Marion Gale boutique, which doesn't have a full e-commerce solution, but uses email inquiries to get more information on a given item. In this case, you'll see that the inquiry box is helpfully pre-filled with the relevant reference information. Other examples of this are restaurants offering collection services where they take orders by email, payment by phone, and a customer calls when they're outside. So it's a combination of online and offline. Many e-commerce companies have limited or no deliveries during COVID. What some of them are doing is enticing customers to browse the collection, say for example in the case of Brent Thomas, or to order and accept delivery once restrictions are lifted. Another option is to offer vouchers, which are suitable for some kinds of companies, for example, in the hospitality sector, beauty salons, online art galleries, and companies of that nature. There is also the option of making some video content as a business owner. So if you're a business owner, for example, you might do a short video on 6 ways to wear a scarf or how to plant spring seeds. Video is a great way to engage with customers. Most smartphones can create decent quality video and they don't have to have very high production values. So I'd suggest get started and experiment. Use the downtime. Take a look at your website today and compare it against your competitors. Is there any out-of-date information on it? If so, update it as soon as possible. Think about creating a blog if you don't already have one, and plan out how frequently you can or will post. Maintaining consistency is key. The same applies to a newsletter. You can gather contact details of your customers and clients when they're in your shop or business premises. Remember to get their consent for GDPR purposes. Then think about a monthly newsletter containing information they might be interested in. So for example, if you're a bookshop, it might be the top 10 new book releases in April and a short review of each. Now is a great time to think about how to use video content on your website. I've seen examples of chefs cooking dishes and posting the recipes on YouTube. It can really reinforce the brand and be memorable. Fitness coaches are offering classes online. So just look at your business and see, is there any part of it that would benefit from this approach? So use video as well, maybe to demonstrate some of your best-selling items. A picture will tell 1,000 words and video multiplies that. Try and stand out by being authentic, and the Catherine Fulvio recipe above or on this slide is a great example of this. So we talked earlier about how to use social and how you can leverage it. So when you can't be open in your physical store, your restaurant, or your clinic, or your office, be proactive and stay in touch with clients and followers on social media. This can offer reassurance to clients that you're still there for them and communicate your latest news and company updates through these platforms. Remember, interaction is the key. If they don't hear from you, they won't think about you. Offering discounts can be an effective tactic for some businesses. For example, some of the big fashion retailers at the moment are promoting big discounts, but only you can decide if this is right for your business. Online shopping is as much about convenience as it is about price. Click and collect. Well, this click and collect offers maximum convenience for customers. In a report from iVent Retail in 2019, it was considered the most valuable aspect of the retail shopping experience for more than 4 in 10 consumers. Time-poor consumers want to be able to get the goods they want when and how it suits them. From the customer's point of view, they know that the item will be ready for a quick pickup, no waiting, no queues. It means the company offers maximum convenience without incurring shipping costs. There's also the possibility or opportunity that the customer will purchase other items when in the shop, and you could think about placing compatible products on the counter or in the eye line of the person collecting. Click and collect is also shown to reduce returns. Collection gives the customer the opportunity to check the item before they leave the shop. So I'm mentioning this in relation to COVID, but I do think that this is very much a forward activity and consumer behaviour trend that is not going to change, and I'd encourage businesses to adopt more click and collect where it works for their business. So demonstrate your expertise. Your website really needs to show your professional qualifications. This is usually done in the About Us section. Don't hide your light under a bushel, as I mentioned earlier. Don't assume that people know about your experience, and you need to be specific. So for example, if you're a professional services, let potential clients know what projects you've worked on. Describe the project and the solutions and how it benefited your client. If you've won any awards or been a runner-up, make sure to display this information prominently. It's a great way of building trust. Membership of professional associations or industry bodies also builds trust, so display the logos where you can. We've often come across business people who speak at events and conferences. You put a lot of work into those presentations, so you can repurpose these into blog content, and the organisers of conferences will always be happy to share images and videos of the event for you to reuse. It's all about demonstrating that you're a trusted, experienced professional. Trust is also built through testimonials. When you provide a great customer experience, you're going to get great reviews. Trustpilot is an increasingly popular system and is being used by lots of companies today. Google Business Page, which is free, also has the ability to accept reviews, and people are using that a lot now as well. From a consumer perspective, you can see that 92% are more likely to buy a product after reading a positive review. So that's an important point to bear in mind, and it's all about trust. Quite a few listings websites have popped up, and you know, Irish people are very patriotic and they want to support Irish business, particularly the SME community, and especially so during COVID. If you want to get your name out there and raise more awareness of your business, these are a few links that might be helpful. They're not the only ones, so search online and see what best matches for your particular business. Walk in your customer's shoes. This is one I really like. Give your customers the best user experience you can by regularly testing your own website to see what the user experience is like. I'd recommend going through the entire purchasing process, right through to payment, to see what the experience is like. Don't stop on the purchase page, go right through to the end. Ask family and friends to do the same. If you get 5 trusted people to give you honest feedback, you'll identify the majority of your issues with your website, and that gives you the opportunity to fix them. There's a website called Think with Google, and it has lots of useful resources, including the ability to do a site speed test. Site speed and load time provides a very good user experience, and the reverse obviously is true as well. Slow to load websites have a much higher bounce rate, and this means that your website visitors will simply not wait and go elsewhere. So don't lose out on that opportunity. Search engine optimization. Well, you want your website to rank high in search engines, and to do this, SEO or search engine optimization is necessary. It's much lower cost than paid advertising, and the higher you appear in search, the more clicks and traffic your site will generate, and this means more business for you. It's important to use relevant keywords in your SEO and to use them well. I think the example here of the Blow Hair Salon shows how they've included all of their key offerings in the meta description, and it's a really good example. So I would look at more examples like that, and you can use the Google keyword search tool to identify which keywords you should use. Searches are measurable and they can bring in revenue if your website is optimized for it. So, you know, at the moment, in an economic downtime, when every single penny is important, make sure your customer can find your site with zero hassle. It's a perfect time to review your website and making sure that keywords related to your business are up to date. So again, it's time that you can use right now, because SEO is it doesn't have immediate results, but it's an investment for the future. I mentioned, or there's the blow salon, yeah. I mentioned the Google My Business page earlier, and you can claim your business page quickly and easily, and you can update content on it. What this means is your updates will appear both in Google Search and Google Maps. You can add photographs, directions, etc. It's an ideal place for contact information and also for opening hours. Remember, for example, if it's a bank holiday or you're closed for a particular reason, be specific about it. So I'd recommend that rather than saying hours may be affected by public holidays, I'd update your listing to say closed on 17th of March. Potential customers and clients could see reviews which will encourage them to take the next step in their purchasing journey. We'll move on now to best practice in web design. So this is really more about addressing some of the fundamentals of good web design. In most instances, this will probably require the services of a professional web developer, but now's a good time to start doing the research. And just to mention, we have a free ebook on how to choose a website developer in the resources slide at the end of this presentation. Your website will be much more effective and contribute to your business if you're clear about what role it plays. It can sometimes happen that a website is almost an afterthought because SMEs are extremely busy. I mentioned earlier, as SMEs, you're very close to your customers. So it's a really good idea to regularly ask them what they want from you in terms of online. And this is where you have an advantage over the big brands who really never get to interact directly with their customers. And there are so many layers of management that any feedback tends not to go to the person who can really change the online experience. So that's where you really have an advantage. It's also important, I think, to keep abreast of what other people are doing in your sector. So again, look at what the big successful brands are doing and see if you can adopt some of the same tactics. Do you want to sell products? So if so, is your full inventory online or just part of it? Have you worked out your delivery and logistics? If you're a B2B business, do you want people to be able to make appointments or read your blog? Again, the point being you have to know what the purpose of your website is for your business very, very specifically. And once you know that, you map out how your customers will interact with your website. And that's really the starting point for a successful website. Good UX. UX refers to user experience, and we always refer to it as UX for short. And it refers to how a website user feels and thinks and acts when interacting with a company's website. Good UX shows that you're doing everything you can to provide a positive experience, which includes the ability to easily navigate your website, to find the information they're looking for and engage with your content. And this might include contact forms or downloadable templates or to purchase your products. So the way you organize your content will depend on your business and your customer profile. Good design and UX will attract visitors to take the next step in the journey of becoming a customer. And the obverse is true, because poor design and UX will detract from your business and likely result in website visitors dropping off and maybe going to one of your competitors. The image here, I think, where it shows how design was constructed and how users are using, is a really compelling way to understand the difference, you know, and the importance of doing design that has UX at its core. Design is really how your website looks and feels, and this is a blend of images, text, typography, colors, fonts, and more. A good design will use a limited number of colors and will include your business logo. It's important to allow plenty of white space, and this is sometimes called the empty part of the page, and it gives all of your content space to breathe. We know that web pages that are heavy on written content can be very off-putting and overwhelming for the visitor. So most visitors will simply scan your content, and it's important to use headings and paragraphs to break up long pieces of text. The type of content you put on your website also needs to be relevant for your audience. If your audience is mainly industry specialists, then using technical terminology will work and is probably appropriate. However, if your audience is the general public, then the language used must be accessible and make sense to them, and not include any kind of inside jargon. So be easily contactable. It's very important to display contact information on every page of your website. Offer multiple points of contact, whether that's by phone or by live chat or whatever method you offer. And make sure that if somebody contacts you via your website, that you respond and give some indication of that when the automated email goes back. Something like, we normally respond to queries within 2 hours or 6 hours or whatever your time frame is, but set that expectation for your customers, because otherwise they may feel that their message has gone into a black hole and that nobody has looked at it. So here's an example of some of the types of ways that people display this information. Usually it's at the bottom of the web page, and for e-commerce websites, I'd strongly recommend that that's on every page of the website. Not so necessary for B2B websites, but just to display it clearly. You can see here the examples of including social channels. Physical address as well is important. It builds confidence as well. Website security is very important from a user's perspective. SSL certificates make sure that whoever visits your website is connected in an authenticated, secure and safe way, and that any information they enter is sent only to the person intended. Google has for a number of years penalized websites without an SSL certificate. If you don't have one, your hosting provider can provide one for you. They are not expensive. It's important for all businesses, but absolutely vital for e-commerce businesses. If you don't have one, you'll see a drop in conversions on your website, because fewer people will be able to see your site because Google pushes it down in search, and the ones that do just simply won't trust it enough to stay, because visitors are presented with a page saying site insecure on it, and that'll make people think twice about engaging with your website, and it'll make them question your validity. Another way of using your website is to include content on questions that customers and clients and consumers frequently ask you about. It can save you time dealing with repetitive inquiries, maybe by email or by phone. And it doesn't have to be hugely sophisticated. It just needs to talk to the commonly asked questions from your customers. So those are the top tips in terms of things you can do today, immediately, and some kind of broader brushstroke good approaches to web design. We have, in conclusion, in the next couple of slides, some examples of resources you can use for upskilling. I referred at the beginning to the fact that SMEs frequently say that time is one of the biggest blockages, and coupled with skills, a lack of skills in relation to digital. Some of the resources here are either low cost or no cost. I know the local enterprise offices have been offering online courses. The Irish Times is also doing online. Think with Google, I mentioned earlier, has some really good resources, and it's totally free. And the Digital Marketing Institute is a paid service, but I know at the moment they are offering big discounts, and you get accreditation at the end of the course. So you'll have a qualification in your back pocket if you decide to go that route, if it's appropriate for your business. I'll leave this slide here, which is the website funding and support, so you know about the trading online vouchers and so on. And just draw your attention to our own website for our accredited registrars, who are in fact hosting providers, and many of them are offering support and help at this time to help people improve their websites. And just finally to say, on our website we also have quite a lot of content that might be useful for people, ebooks that you can download, blogs, and our research there, all free to access. So I hope you have found some of the content and tips useful today, and Sven, thank you again for asking me to participate in this.
Thank you, Una. Really, thank you so much for sharing your valuable insights with us this morning. So not only some of the content, all of the content was really useful, hands-on, and eye-opening. Just to say that we will share the slides with the participants, or better, the recording of the webinar with the participants this morning. The IE Domain Registry website, I think it's iedr.ie, available really easily with all the research and information that Una has mentioned. If you have any direct questions for Una, you can email me, sven@sfa.ie, and I will forward them to Una. And that brings me to the end of the webinar this morning. Thank you all for listening. Look after yourself, your family, and your staff, and stay safe. God bless.